A few days ago, my younger brother came to me with a commission of 6 miniatures to get done for a game he plans to run the following week. In this video, I'll show you how I completed 3 of those miniatures in less than 2 hours and still made them tabletop worthy. Hi, my name is Alex. This is Foxhole Painting Gaming. I'm on a time crunch this week, so I'm going to a convention on the weekend, and I need to get these done before I leave. Now, of the 6 miniatures that I was asked to paint, only 3 of them need to be really seen. Why? Because they're iconic characters from TV shows and movies. I have Sam and Dean from Supernatural and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, and Ash vs. the Evil Dead. But how can I paint such interesting models in a rush? It's not as bad as you might think. The idea is to get these done quickly at what I refer to as a convention standard. What this means is I'm not planning to use these for a tournament like you would 40K or Bolt Action or Flames War, where the only real people that would be touching these are your opponents and yourself and judges. No, this will be for conventions where individuals come up to your table while holding a plate of nachos or a slab of pizza in their hand as they reach out for your models, or little kids to wander by your table and want to see the cool little figures, and upon doing so might damage them. People might drop them, leave grease marks, which of course cause oil damage. So the idea is to make these simple, but look effective at arm's reach. I'm not looking for people to pick these models up and judge me on them. I'm looking forward to getting people to see these from a distance and be like, I know that model, or that looks really cool. So it is important to keep in mind that people will be handling these and they will be damaged.
All I ever wanted was you, but you left me alone inside these empty, broken walls. And I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you left me alone inside this empty, broken hall. And now you'll be the reason why my soul is tainted.
Knowing these 3 miniatures are based off actual characters, referencing simple Google searches allows me to maintain accuracy when considering color choices for their clothing and style. Most of the paints I used came from the Pro Acryl line to keep things simple. And I have plenty of them on my shelf to pull from. I will be splicing these with a few GW paints, because I pretty much have that entire line at my disposal as well. To start off with, I start with the clothes. This, for the most part, will be a huge focus on the model, and so I want to figure out my color palette for these and get these done right away. And when it comes to speed painting, especially non-horde models, I always find ways to recycle colors on my palette. For example, Dean's jacket, which uses a dark brown, is also the same color that I used for Ash's pants. And then just like Ash's chainsaw here that's red, I recycled the red for Sam's undershirt. It just helps move things along quickly. Once that's all finished, I coat the clothing in a 1-to-1 Nolan oil to medium. Now, if these were more of the warmer tones, I would use Earthshade. The reason I cut this 1-to-1, however, is it prevents heavy staining. The idea is not to stain these colors, it's to help enrich the depth. We have folds in the clothing. We have little nooks and crannies on their belt lines and everything that I want to help deepen, but I don't want to stain the base colors that I've already used. You're probably wondering, then why not pin wash certain aspects? Well, again, we're going for speed. Sitting there with a pin wash might take me a few hours, where slapping a thin down coat of Nolan oil only takes me a couple of moments. Once the wash has fully dried, I will find extremely bright tones to the colors I used for the base. Again, the idea is to make these pop from a distance and not sit there blending for hours on end trying to make these look gorgeous. So by using bright highlights such as a brighter brown or warmer brown as opposed to darker ones on, for example, Dean's jacket, the jacket pops. You can see the folds. You can see the pockets. Same with the jeans. Same with their undershirts. Even the straps, I will pick out certain points and sharp edges to highlight a much brighter brown. And again, this is to help make it pop from a distance.
There's no one to save me from this hurt I feel deep within my bones. Did you ever think of me and see the things I did? Sold my soul and everything I was to the lowest bid. Crawled into your poison dome yet every single time. You got into my mind, you got into my mind. But all I ever wanted was you. But you left me alone inside these empty, broken walls. And I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you left me alone inside this empty, broken hall. And now you'll be the reason why my soul is tainted. So how can I fix this? 'Cause I need to stop the aching in my head. My heart is breaking. Yeah, I'm tired of being stuck in the past. Did you ever think of me and see the things I did? Sold my soul.
When I'm painting for conventions, my goal is to ensure that details such as general highlights can be seen from an arm's distance. I want to see the shades. I want to see the highlights from an arm's distance. The key is not to pick up a model this close and examine it. It's not what this is about. This is about me saying this on the table and being able to pick out the folds in the clothes, the facial features, anything really. And that's why I chose bright colors to the darker ones. It just makes it pop.
You're the reason why my soul is tainted. You're the reason why my soul is tainted. You're the reason why my soul is tainted.
Once the clothing is highlighted, I will then start with the skin tones. The skin tones I usually save for last to make sure I get everything. Sometimes, for example, with Ash's model, he has plenty of torn fabric. In fact, I had missed a piece of his torn fabric thinking that might have been part of his belt, but it was actually part of his shirt, so I had to go through and repaint that. Luckily, it was such a small piece that I didn't have to highlight or wash it. I just threw blue on it, and no one will ever know, except for you now, because I just told you. It's usually how that works. Once the base skin tone is down, I will gradually highlight and bright, warm versions of the skin tone. For example, the base for these models is done with GW's Bugman's Glow Mix 50/50 with Pro Acryl's Tan Flesh. This will be my shadow, or my base tone. And then I will highlight muscles, broad muscle groups with the Tan Flesh, and then mix that Tan Flesh with an ivory color to brighten up a little bit and hit certain key features, especially around the face. When that's done, I will use GW's contrast paint, Gelman's Flesh, and thin that down 1 to 2 with the medium and apply that as a wash. This will tone down the skin tone just a tad while giving huge amount of depth to the face and the muscles. Again, we want to have the eye pick out muscles from a distance. We want to enrich the depth, so you know what exactly you're looking for at a distance. But of course, if you look at it close up, it won't look as nice. I don't want my skin tones to overdo the clothing. I want to knock everything down to a nice level playing field. You can still pick out right away the faces, even with the hair or the ripped clothing that's around them. So I'm not worried about, like, for example, the mid highlight, the Tan Flesh, blending in with some of the deeper areas. The idea is just so people can pick out the muscles from a distance. So they can pick out the eyes and the nose and the mouth from a distance. Once the majority of the miniature is finished, I now move on to the small details, such as the weapons and the belt buckles. Essentially anything that's going to be steel, I will paint dark steel. And the reason for this is it'll be dark enough that it'll naturally sheen without bringing your eye too much to it. I don't want to highlight with silver due to the fact that when I matte varnish these, that silver is already going to dull down enough, and in my experience, bright silver just looks white after a while. Once everything is done, I will base the miniature. I had to think about where these most likely would be going, and I just chose an earthy tone. I went with Sterling Mud from GW, easy texture paint, just slap it onto the base. I dry brushed it a mix of brown and ivory I had laying on my palette still from the outfits, and then put grass tufts. Not including the drying time, these miniatures took less than 2 hours to finish. This allowed me to make sure that everything is good to go. I got the base of the model done, and if I really wanted to, down the line, I can improve upon my current paint job. But as it stands, these will be at a convention being handled by people. And the idea on that is to make sure that if they get shipped while we're there, I can come home and fix them pretty easily and quickly without having to worry about blending or making sure some highlights are correct. The game that he's running, these 3 models will be accompanying a Scooby-Doo game, oddly enough, made by the same company, and they are wielding such weapons like katanas, chainswords. I think Fred has a katana and a Glock, while Velma has a chainsaw. But They'll be running in a mystery machine. I got one of those as well. I'll be applying decals on those shortly. But if you want to see those, feel free to look up my Instagram or my Facebook, as I will be posting pictures of the convention and of my brother's game that we'll be doing right after we get back from the convention. But until then, go paint some minis and game on.
But you left me alone inside these empty, broken walls, and I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you left me alone inside this empty, broken hall, and now you'll be the reason why my soul is tainted.
Big. Hi, my name is Alex. This is me waving my hands around like an idiot. That's what I do. I move my hands when I talk. Stop it. I need to put my phone in my hand. There we go.